Hi there, everybody. Nice to see you again. And I'm glad you've taken the time to kind of watch this. If you're interested in all things hair, you want to learn some stuff about it, I'm more than willing to share. Now stick to the end because I'm going to point out to you what happens with heat implements that sit, okay? And how to fix that. That's really important that when you're using a heat tool, what do you do if you went off into the other room and came back and it had been sitting there for just a few minutes even? What do you do with that? Do you have to start all over or not? I should show you this first because I thought it was really kind of interesting. I wanted to just wear my shirt and not have to wear a drape because I don't have a client coming in for another, I don't know, half hour or something like that. I've got some time. But then I suddenly realized it's got this blue and green screen. Yeah, well, anyway, so back to this thing. Oh, I've noticed, well, I'm sure you have too, quite a bit on YouTube and different formats on the internet where people have damaged their hair, hurt their hair, burnt their hair right off their scalp, or broken it. And so it begs the question, do they know how hot is too hot? Once your flat iron, curling iron, or heat tool reaches 302 degrees Fahrenheit, really moisture is being driven out. You have to remember at 302 degrees, or 150 degrees Celsius, it's being driven out. That being the case, as it gets higher, the damage becomes stronger and stronger. You don't necessarily notice it. Well, no, because your hair is dry to start with, and you might be thinking, well, you know, there is no moisture. But so we're not talking about water. What we're talking about is how it in fact can drive moisture out of the hair. Use some sort of a protective conditioner or heat treatment to help lock in the moisture as best possible, and not drive all the moisture out of the hair. Even though the hair feels dry to the touch, it should feel soft and have some shine. If you're pushing it past that, then that tells you there's a moisture issue of some sort or the other. From 320 degrees upwards to 350 degrees, now all of a sudden what's happening is it's starting to affect the protein. It's beginning to melt the protein. So if you grab your heat implement, your curling iron and so forth, your flat iron, and it's that hot, let's say it even has that setting, you can put it at somewhere between 320 and 350 degrees. That is going to begin to melt protein in your hair. That's not the one thing you want to do. You get the impression that it might be a good idea to do the very least you can in terms of heat, the lowest setting, to get the results you want. Yes, that is true. You want to be as gentle with it as you possibly can. And that's hard because many of us have figured out, well, wait a minute, if I go a little higher, don't I get the end result I want? In some levels, yeah, in some levels you do, but it's also very, very hard on the hair. After about 350 degrees, 346, 47 degrees, then what happens is that now you're starting to have a problem with irreversible damage. You cannot fix that damage. It's too much. It's just too much. And so you see all these people, mostly teenagers and such, grabbing their hair with a curling iron or a flat iron and putting it on there and holding it there with no regard for how hot that actually is. And here's something you want to keep in mind. When you're using a flat iron, curling iron, or any kind of a heat tool, and it has a ceramic or metal kind of a plate, right? What's going to happen is it's going to sit there and radiate heat. It's going to conduct heat. So even if you've got that down lower than these temperatures, the iron or the curling iron, the flat iron, whatever, is generating and radiating heat. You need to transfer that heat out before you use it. So you wouldn't want to just let it sit there for a while, 5, 10, 15, however many minutes. You wouldn't want to let it sit there and then just pick it up and use it. But rather you would transfer the heat onto a dry, clean towel first. If it's been sitting there much longer, even in the salon, if I've got a heat implement sitting there and I'm about to do someone's hair, that heat implement has been warming up longer than I wanted it to, I will have my assistants, I will make them. You do this. My assistants will unplug it for me and let it cool down, then plug it back in. Then we make sure and we transfer the heat in a dry, clean towel to make sure that we're not transferring any unnecessary heat to the hair. We don't want to do that because we do not want to damage the hair. Look at the porosity or the pH of your hair. In fact, you know what, next time, why don't I talk about that? How pH and your products can really help you out by knowing, you know, where should you draw the line. So, okay. Let's begin with this. Do subscribe. We'd love having you here. Take a look at what you see here. See if you won't find things that will fully benefit you. Also, may I mention that if you want to leave a comment in the comment section, it's greatly appreciated. And yeah, that's it. So I better get back to work, and you've probably got things to do too. Thank you for joining. Bye for now.